Hyperfocus, ADHD with a touch of autism. Hey everybody, my name is Jacqui. Welcome to Connect and Grow podcast, YouTube, and all our other social medias where you may be seeing this. Are you somebody that has the ability to focus on something to the exclusion of everything else? So you're given a task to do. You're excited about this task and you dive straight in. It's like, yes, I can't wait to have success. And before you know it, it's home time if you're in the workplace and people are like packing up, but you're completely oblivious to it because to you, the day is still going. You haven't stopped. You forgot to have a lunch break. You maybe got a drink or something every so often, but it was a really short break. You're there. You're focused. You're getting this job done, but you're not quite finished. And everyone around you is walking, see ya. I'm out. I'm heading home. I'm super excited to go home. Your boss comes along and says, what are you doing? It's home time. You should be packing up, going home. No, I'm still going. I'm still doing this task. One of the things that happens with people that have ADHD is that there is this ability to throw themselves all in, to keep going until the job's done, and to stop can actually be triggering. Now, in the workplace, you have to go home at some point, right? Like you're supposed to go home. That's just how it works. One of the things that happens, especially if a person has some autism traits as well, is that there's a sense of accountability and, even a literal sense of, so if the boss says, I need this done today. Okay, I know it's home time. I'm seeing that it's home time, but I'm not finished. So how do you as a boss manage that? And how do you as a person that's like, no, I know I've got to go home, but I haven't finished yet? How do you deal with that without going into meltdown, without going home and going, oh, I should have done this. Oh, man, I forgot to do that, and overthinking it? And maybe if you go home to a partner and you're there, hey, honey, how was your day? Yeah, so I had this task to do, and you go into story because you're still focused on it. You can't let it go. So here's a couple of strategies that may or may not help you. I respect that every person is different, so I want to acknowledge that what works for one person may not work for another person, and that's okay. But maybe it will get you thinking about some different traits. Not different traits. We love who you are. You are amazing. Some different ideas. So one tool that can work is breaking the task down into chunks. Now, what this looks like, I get it. I struggle to do this myself, but breaking it down. So if the task is to, to say we're going to treat it like a book, right? So the task is like a book and it's going to have chapters in it. And each chapter is going to bring a different storyline and a different energy and a different part and even a different emotion. And that story, that chapter, which is part of the book, is really important. But so is the other chapter and the other chapter. And if you work it together, it's going to be amazing. So breaking it down into parts. And as you break it down into parts, saying, okay, and understanding that there's got to be a little bit of flexibility in this as well. So when you break it down into the chunks to do, to the parts to do it, and I know sometimes that can be a challenge because it's like, yeah, it all goes together. Yes, it does. But a cake eventually all comes together as well. And as does like everything in life, eventually comes together. But to get your cake, and I know if you're neurodivergent and you're watching this, you're going, what's a cake got to do with my work project? We're using it as an analogy that to make a cake from scratch, you've got to put all the ingredients together. And you've got to add one ingredient at a time, but you've got to have them separated. So if your job, your task, your project is one whole thing, then to get it to the whole point, there's going to be different parts to it. And if you can work it to your best ability to break it down into different parts, and you say, all right, I'm going to do this part now, and I'm going to set my timer and spend an hour on that, or what you think is fair but being reasonable. You've got to be reasonable with this. And allowing yourself and giving yourself permission that you go as far as you can in that time, right? And you might not get that whole part done and the timer goes off, but that timer is going off, so you might have morning tea, you might go for a walk for some fresh air. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be a 5-minute thing, and then you can come back to it. And I understand very clearly breaking state, so breaking concentration, can be disruptive and it can be deregulating. So you're regulated while you're doing this, while your emotions are regulated, your focus is clear. And the minute we interrupt that with an alarm, your emotional state can become deregulated. I acknowledge that. So it's about knowing that when that alarm goes off and you're being interrupted, that what you're going to next is just as important as what you're doing now. And hopefully there's a little bit of dopamine in that break for you, especially as ADHD. So breaking down the task, the job, the project. And if you're the person that has that ability and that tendency to overthink, that's okay, because a notebook or a phone or a voice recording at the side can actually help you, because you can go, oh, and from this, we've got to go here, here, and here. Write it down, voice record it, do something. Excuse me for 1 second. Excuse me. So capture it somewhere, because you can come back to it. Remembering to celebrate how far you get, even if the job's not finished, often that's okay. And the communication to your colleagues, yourself, your client, whomever it is, hey, I got this far today. It's looking great. We'll do the next bit tomorrow. I actually didn't realise it was going to take me as long as it did. In the December-January Connect and Grow magazine, we've got an article all about communication for people who are neurodivergent and understanding your team. So if you're the manager or the business owner, understanding how your people communicate. Because even if someone does not have the diagnosis or doesn't even acknowledge that they're ADHD or autistic, and that's super cool, that's their life, that's how they live, but you notice that their communication style is different, then you can actually come to and meet them where they're at for success. It's all about empowering people. So you might like to check that article out. It's in this month's, December, January, so issue 16, Connect and Grow magazine. It's available on our website, Break Free Consultancy. It's also available, magazine's available on the Connect and Grow magazine website as well, and you can subscribe to that. But right now, for coping with the hyperfocus in the workplace and in your personal life, it's being able to connect with yourself to be able to continue to self-regulate even if you are interrupted. And I know it's not always easy, and I know it's frustrating, and I know it's annoying. You're focused, but remember, your attention as a neurodivergent person or a person that has maybe ADHD or autism or both traits, your hyperfocus, your attention to detail is much greater than other people who do not have these traits. So you're going to see things in a different way, and this is okay, especially if you see it as what some people term as your superpower. This is about you. This is about investing in you. And if you are a business owner, I'd love to come and work with you and your team to make sure that there is that inclusiveness for all of your team, because when you can understand how people work, when you can understand who has this hyper-focus ability and who struggles to break things down and who is really good at breaking things down, then you can get the best out of your staff. And if you are in a workplace and you are struggling to break it down, to understand the communication, then talk to your manager, reach out to us at Break Free Consultancy. We're more than happy to support you as best we can. So that's just one or two tips when dealing with hyperfocus in the workplace and your personal life. Be kind to yourself and remember to break things down, to have micro breaks, little breaks, so you can still stay in flow, but you're just racing off to get that coffee and you're coming back. You're still good. You're still there. You've got this. You really do.